Welcome to Early, the podcast about business in Web3 from Bankless Consulting. I'm your host, DSide, and on each episode of Early, I'm joined by thought leaders, innovators, and other denizens of Web3 who are building the internet of the future. Money is programmable, assets are digital, and exchanges are decentralized here. So join me on this journey into the past, the present, and the future of Web3. And remember, if you're here, you're early. Welcome to Early, the podcast about the business of Web3 from Bankless Consulting. I'm your host, DSide, and with me today I have Luc Schurgers. Luc is the co-founder and CEO of DNABlock Animation Studios. He's a creator, architect, visionary, and businessman. He has special interest in Web3, art, artificial intelligence, and 3D animation, and you're going to see some stuff today. Luc is a technologist with a unique brand of visual storytelling. He has created viral films for Ray-Ban, Levi's, and we have to talk about that Levi's commercial, and Nissan, and bagged a bunch of awards and recognitions for his projects. He's really good at this stuff. Luc is a self-proclaimed left and brain thinker, and let's start with that. What do you mean by that, Luc?
Well, it's a bit of a blessing and a curse, to be honest. I'm really into tech, but also into kind of creative, and sometimes that works out well. Sometimes it's a little bit more complicated, but that was definitely the reason of starting this company, and mixing these two together.
Yeah, right on. Did you, as a kid, were you into technology or?
Yeah, I think the best thing my dad ever did was, he got me like a 386 computer, back in the days of World Online and US robotics, with the dial-up internet. And, he's not a computer guy, but he knew that this was going to be the future. And while everybody else was on these like Super Nintendo consoles and so on, I desperately wanted one, but he was like, here, this is a computer, work it out. And the amount of times
just play with it.
Broke it, reformatted it, put new operating systems on it. That really got me kind of hooked, I guess.
Yeah, and at the same time, were you also sort of creative as a kid? Like, were you into art or writing or? Where did that come from?
No, I'm a terrible writer. Absolutely terrible. That's probably why we added so many AI writing assistant tools in our software.
There you go.
But I'm a terrible writer, but into art. Drawing was my thing, and kind of
so
when I got into animation and visual effects, kind of really had like a 20-year career in that.
Yeah, and you're also a director. So like, how did like your creative juices sort of start? Like, how did you first get into the profession? Like, how did it all get started for you?
Yeah, so I kind of I studied computer science with focus on graphics, and then ended up did a master's degree in that. Ended up in London, trying to get like foot in the door. And started with music videos, basically. We did a couple of friends who made all these like animated music videos. And then eventually that got picked up, and then I moved to advertising, which is fun at the beginning. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
They travel the world. They do all sorts of cool stuff. And, but at some point it gets a bit kind of repetitive because it's never really your idea. In the beginning, you start as a young director, you get your script, and then, you're like, this is shit. I got to change this all. And then you never hear from them again because you don't know that these scripts have been well researched. There's a whole kind of team at the advertising agency.
Sure.
And a part of that, so as you kind of, get more experience, you kind of get to learn a bit more about that world and play by the rules. But yeah, definitely made some mistakes there. And then in it was like 2006, I had won like a Cannes Lion for a commercial, and that piqued interest from the US. I got a sponsorship from David Fincher's company to come over here and work for Anonymous Content. And I did that in 2008, and I've been in the States since. Yeah.
Nice. Was your passion always in animation, or also do you do or live action?
Yes, passion is in animation, but what I also have, I'm very kind of impatient and kind of scatterbrain and you know, ADHD. So what I love about animation is basically the endless kind of, you know, imagination. You know, you can make anything. That's a really cool kind of idea. What I don't like about it is that it always required a big team. You know, you can never kind of change things. So I like with ideation, what I really like is like you're doing something, you change your mind, and then that works really well with live action filmmaking. You know, so I've done a lot of commercials where actually, you know, they were very kind of well scripted, and we're doing some ad-libbing and some riffing with the actors, and that eventually became the spot. You know, and ended up doing really well. But there's kind of like unscripted moments that you grab, whether it's like a look or whether it's like that is something you don't get in animation because you have to pre-plan everything.
Right.
And that's now changing, so that's what I'm particularly excited about.
That's one of the things you're working on.
Yeah. But that's like fast forward to 2017, when, you know, I kind of got the idea to.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I have some questions about your advertising experience and all that. How many years did you work in the ad industry?
Yeah, two decades, 20 years.
Yeah, wow. And do you have a few pieces that you're particularly proud of, that you feel like you like really influence? I mean, you said a lot of times you're given a script and it's sort of vetted, and you don't get much creative license. So
no, it's like the interactive campaigns where we, you know, got brought on early, and you develop it with the creative directors, you know, and like you have more connection with it, you know. But then I also have these moments that you kind of just had like so much fun on the shoot, you know. Even I've also, I mean, I got stuff on my website, but I also have, I mean, at least 3 times the amount of stuff that is complete shit.
Oh yeah.
You know, and you know.
Those are only the good ones. You're saying
I'd say like not
the website's only the good ones, huh?
Yeah. But you know, those things can be good, you know, sometimes. And sometimes it's, you know, it's also like you work with the agency creatives, and they've been trying, and everybody's trying, and the client ends up being a complete pain in the ass, and it just becomes crap. But it can still be a really positive experience because you had a fun time doing it. And
right on. Nice.
That's why I kind of steered into quirky comedy, because it's just fun. It's fun to shoot on set, you know.
Yeah. Without risking this becoming about a soccer podcast, but a few of your soccer pieces really caught my eye, because I'm a soccer fan. So you mentioned the interactive campaign, the Adidas interactive campaign, UEFA 2012.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, man. Like I watched the video and the making of, you know, behind the scenes, and it's wild. What's the
that was
broader story of that?
Yeah, brought in by the agency kind of early to kind of concept and develop ideas, and we wanted to do this like interactive campaign with a projection mapping. But we also had to produce this in a city where it's kind of tricky to get permits. Like we have
So this was in Munich during the 2012 UEFA Champions Soccer Tournament. Bayern Munich was playing Chelsea, right, for the finals.
Yeah, playing Chelsea. Yeah. And it was a great match, first of all. But that whole kind of time there was quite amazing because there's so many people there. And because there was also, you know, many Chelsea fans that came out.
Sure.
So it was like really kind of happening and popping. But we had to do like big stuff really quickly. You know, like for example, we needed to have a place to do this projection mapping. The only building that we got was a building full of windows, which is obviously not good for projection mapping, but it had to be done there. So we had to plaster off all the windows at night on the inside.
Oh, no way.
And then do the projection, and then basically clean it all off so that the day after it could be opening. It was a big kind of warehouse, and yeah, like things like that. But the interactive element of that was really good fun. Yeah, I'd say that was pretty, I did one with Messi as well in Barcelona. That was also
that is amazing. That is amazing.
That was a lot of fun too. But yeah, unfortunately, like social media has kind of overtaken from those kind of campaigns. You know, there's not that much of that big experiential stuff that gets done anymore. But yeah, I mean, definitely had a really good time with that. And what we always did is like we built the software ourselves. So I always had the idea of like, we've done so many interactive campaigns, you know, like you build out stuff for this, build out stuff for that. I always kind of wanted to turn it into a product, right? Because you like in advertising, it's almost like you're doing rapid prototyping all the time, you know, and then like you hack things together, make it work, and then that's it. But a lot of good stuff was developed by our team. And I always kind of like wanted to put it into a product, but it's very hard. You know, we had just like code, like snippets around and
sure. What do you mean by put it into product? Just the development process?
You develop like very powerful code to do certain things. And I always thought, you know, this has all been developed on, you know, commercial dime around pretty much we did this big project for CNN, for example. That could have been, you know, with a couple of more months, more work, it could have been turned into an actual product that would be scalable and you could kind of sell and have people kind of play with. But I never got to do that because you go from project to project and you get busy and so on.
Yeah, so each project kind of becomes its own build,
becomes its own thing, and then when you're later down the line, you kind of go, actually, I know how to do that better now. Let's forget about it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you're the product.
Yeah. That's how it kind of works. I guess.
And I have to say, just to comment on those two productions, the UEFA Munich. I mean, the effect is spectacular. It's basically 3D video on the final production, and you know, of course, like you have the interactive component, so the fans are involved, I'm sure, in the whole experience, right?
That was very
cool.
rewarding. Very, very rewarding. And
nice.
It was actually what was kind of cool about it is that, you know, that fan duality had a positive kind of effect. It was kind of connecting, you know, especially the people that started partaking. That was very cool. Projection,
right? It could have been like one side versus the other, and it turned out to be
but it was a bonding kind of experience, which was
nice.
Which was cool. But yeah, the projection mapping was difficult there, and then you know we did Messi after that. We just took it up a whole notch by having like a driving kind of vehicle.
It's amazing.
You know, running around in Barcelona. Without a shooting permit.
You guys did like James Cameron level production on a soccer cleat commercial.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bigger than that, obviously, because it was Messi's return to Barcelona. But I mean, it's amazing, and particularly like if after watching the behind the scenes, it's like you really like took over Barcelona at night.
Yeah, we did, and I got to shoot him. I got my picture taken with
nice.
him, send it to my dad. You know. My dad is probably the biggest soccer nerd in the world. He watches like every single league.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was very kind of proud father moment.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's awesome. You dressed as an old lady for a viral marketing campaign at South by Southwest. Why did you do that?
That was actually my kind of first, you know, trying to make a product, kind of startup. Which the idea really came from, you know, like everything goes digital, right? It's like nobody sends postcards anymore. And a lot of people still like postcards. You know, I have like an aunt, she's like not digital at all. She really loves it when she gets postcards. So the idea was basically make an app that you can make postcards with. I had a friend at the time that I worked together with. She worked at an advertising agency, and she was really kind of into the ideas that let's just make it. So we started making it while actually kind of self-funding it with other jobs and so on. We ended up finishing it. We got our printer deals, and then it became it's really difficult to manage. I was I did not know the world of venture capital there, and the moment you kind of need these, because we had all our friends were using it. It was actually mainly kind of used for when you're out, somebody's vomiting or somebody's doing something stupid, took the picture, put some stickers on it, and had like some evidence. Like later on, you mailed it to them. So we had a lot of really kind of fun kind of times with that, but never actually kind of pushed it over the line. I think I should have had I should have known like how the VC world works like. But they probably would have invested in a postcard up. There is a couple of companies now that are doing that. It seems to be quite successful.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But it was a good learning exercise. Yeah, it was my first product.
And a funny campaign.
Yeah, funny campaign. Yeah.
That was your first product. So what was your first successful product? And I'm not saying that wasn't successful.
Yeah, I mean, this what we're making right now. That's like, this is kind of bonkers. Actually, it's kind of blown my own mind.
Talk about it a little bit.
Every day.
What is so? How did this project bloom? And it's DNABlock.
Yeah,
is the name of the company.
So what I kind of took away from, the advertising world is changing completely, right? Like, I mean, it's all about social media. It's all about influencers. I never really liked it. I'm not a big social media person, so I kind of passed on that. Saw that big kind of change happening. The cool campaigns, they're not there anymore. And I ended up doing more kind of TV work, like weird comedy, basically quirky comedy. It became my thing, which is a lot of fun to shoot. But at a moment in time, you kind of you get over traveling and so on. So we had done a couple of campaigns where where we first initially built our own kind of game engine. Then we kind of used like Unity, and I kind of followed that development. And I thought, like, if I can build a content creation tool in a game engine, you basically have everything that you want, right? Because you have that instant kind of control over the content. And knowing that it had to be very character specific, the hardest part is building the character system. And in 2017, I started that, self-funded. Well, actually, in the meantime, I also mined a fair amount of Bitcoin. So I had a bit of financial freedom to actually take a leap at something like this. So 2017, kind of thought like, okay, you have to, at one point in your life, you have to then kind of think like, I want to change career. And you have to kind of stop doing the other stuff. I now do it. I now do the odd commercial here and there, mainly if I can use our product, which I've done for the last few of them. But at some point in your career, you got to then go like, I want to do something new, and you need to put all the focus on that. Otherwise, it's you gets half-assed, and So I made like a conscious switch of like, I'm going to try this. It's going to be very hard, and it's been like almost like 5 years of development now. We're 2 months away from launching, so super, super, super excited now.
Amazing. That is amazing after 5 years. Yeah. Going back a step. So I imagine the Bitcoin mining stems from tinkering with computers as a kid and just being in that sort of like, well, you tell me, but how did you get started?
It's actually, I had a post-production company, and we had all these like old kind of pizza boxes, to render on. And when you're doing animation, you render maybe like 5% of the time. So 95% of the time, those things are idle, and they use up a whole lot of electricity and they're very loud. And I was looking at alternatives on basically how can I kind of monetize on these pizza boxes, basically. Unfortunately, I threw most of the private keys away, but found a few every now and then. And the good thing with that was, even though I didn't pursue a career as like a minor, I got very much exposed to that world. It was also particularly interesting at the time because we could buy like ecstasy from Silk Road and stuff like that, especially in the UK. It was pretty good kind of resource to have. But yeah, I got exposed to that the crypto world. I always kind of thought it was fascinating. What really fascinated me with it is basically the scarcity asset and the connection with graphics. So particularly computer graphics. So I had that in my mind for quite a long time, but not acted on it. Then in Follow the World, followed to space. I took in a bunch of ICOs in 2017. Most of them all failures. Even went pretty far to try and do my own one, but then basically got scared. I thought like it's too much risk involved in this. Then just thought,
sounds like you got back to your creative side and your
yeah, I mean, the beginning wasn't very creative because the thing that we needed to work out was like, how do you make characters at scale, right? Like in 3D, the hardest part is to scale stuff up. Computer graphics doesn't really particularly scale well, so you need to build a system that's kind of procedural and that allows you to create infinite things, right? Because we were thinking like, if we need to create, a billion different avatars, how do you do that? How do you build that? And that's a completely different way of thinking of like, how do I create the best kind of avatar? So that was a big undertaking. Yeah, it took us more than 2.5 years to work that out. And when we kind of first did, got some seed funding, and then basically
when you say a billion avatars, what are you building?
Well, just like in terms of variation, if you think that everybody wants like every YouTuber wants to have their own kind of avatar, right? How do you build the infrastructure for that? That is a big kind of undertaking. So instead of like pushing geometry, we have like almost like it's like JSON-based code, which defines our avatar standard. It's already version 14 of the platform. And that basically constructs anything. So in terms of in terms of like sharing stuff, you just literally share some code, and if you want to update something, I can show you that in a bit. But it's basically the ability for avatars or characters actually to wear anything, to have like whatever outfits you have automatically shrink fit to their body, no matter what the proportion is. That is really, really complicated. And, most kind of productions in the game space, the avatar component is one kind of thing, right? And it gets developed over and over and over again. We just felt like we need to do that really, really, really well, have like the most insane character creator. And, then basically, once we have that, we'll see what to do with it. That was basically the thinking.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what is the the user experience? So that's
another kind of thing. What 3D is like a beast, right? It's really, really complicated. You can learn, like in a couple of years, you learn how to make a picture, but in order to kind of have everything technically correct, and this is what you need for the scalability side, it's a very, very steep learning curve, and you actually need multiple people with different disciplines to do everything. So what you see is that in 3D, animation and content creation, you need to use like several different kinds of software. You need like Blender, you use like Substance, and you might animate in something else, you might render in something else. So you basically kind of, as a new kind of creator, you need to learn a lot, and then it takes a lot of time, right? So what I wanted to do was basically kind of create a system that would do that all for you. Like literally, like you got to, within an hour, you got to know the system and can start making. And yeah, that was very difficult. It was very difficult. But
I can imagine. I mean, you're saying that someone like me, no code, could essentially be able to render 3D.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Damn.
Yeah, and it's it's been a team effort. That's the most important part, right? So assemble a team, mainly kind of very senior game developers, people with animation and visual effects background, and we kind of worked it out, and it was like a lot of trial and error. But once we had the avatar system working, we then started applying that same kind of logic to pretty much everything else in the content creation part, right? So that's when it becomes fun, because it's actually making backgrounds is easier. And once you have your characters done well, like, animation blending and add all sorts of procedural kind of tools for that, that's easier than doing the characters. So that was, and that's something we're literally finishing off now, and already kind of like soft launch with a few folks.
That's amazing. And who do you see using this product?
I think every content creator is gonna every content creator that's not like a 3D expert, although some of these some 3D experts that prefer to work on narrative and so on. They're also kind of liking it. And to my surprise, I've gotten a lot of interest actually from the professional space. I had not anticipated that. Nice. So now we're in a little bit of this kind of moment. Are we going to do like enterprise or consumer? But we very much like decided we want to focus on consumer, because it's like, like the content creation. I mean, if you look at YouTube, like 99% is video content or screen recordings, right?
Yep.
And it's ready to be, transformed. I think a lot of people they put so much energy into kind of establishing their channels. They want to have an edge. They want to do something new. Those are the folks that I think will embrace this really well. And next to that, also the whole VTubing thing is blowing up.
So if you can imagine it, you can create it, basically.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so what's the blockchain tie-in?
So basically, we have a database, a huge database, like 2 terabytes of assets that get kind of streamed in when you kind of need them, and they can be token gated. They don't have to be. We initially had a very kind of strong focus on Web3. It's been a bit disappointing, all the kind of shit that's happened in that space. So we also kind of got way further than we thought we would. So now we kind of basically say this is a creator tool that there's a lot of hate on NFTs and so on from the game space, and so and we're kind of mindful of that. Although I would really kind of hope that those folks actually get to see the purpose of a real NFT that has a utility and so on, because I think it will change many people's their perception. But yeah, I don't want to force that down the throat. I don't want to have that like grow kind of naturally.
Yeah. So, well, where do you see that going? I mean, there's initially maybe a couple of years ago when NFTs came out and there was talk about gaming in the Web3 space. The narrative was a lot about like picture Fortnite, but you own everything. You get to own your guy. You get to own all your gear. Is that what we're talking about, or is it some variation of that?
I mean, the problem is that if you're talking about Fortnite, there's a huge team of developers on there. Every draw call is justified. It's highly optimized for multiple platforms. You can't just go and throw any random character in there, right? There's a technical exercise that needs to be done in order for it to be compatible, right? So, and I think that's what most people just didn't think of.
Right.
So we followed the Epic's roadmap really well. We run on a custom engine of Unreal Engine 5. So our characters are all ready to be in games, right? But again, you need to know what kind of poly count the game wants to have. There's just a lot of stuff that comes with making high quality games, and I think we've yet to see that in the blockchain space.
Yeah. And I'm trying to envision like a few years down the road is the DNA. Are you essentially creating a full ecosystem? So like anyone who creates on this platform then can possibly interchange games.
Yeah. So
their characters can interchange games. Is that part of the premise?
Yeah, so that's. I mean, we're testing that right now. We have two projects that we're having like a kind of like a white gloved approach to. One's been going for quite a long time. It's like a fighting game where you can basically take any of your NFTs and fight each other. It's very cool. I really kind of particularly like that genre for it.
Nice.
It's more like a social kind of environment, but just seeing the kind of work that is involved with making that work in other people's code is complicated. You got to do that well. And I think that dream of just like, oh, here's my geometry, it's on Pinata or any kind of decentralized storage, and download it in the game. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think people are gonna find out the hard way, and then that's like, that's a lot of excitement loss, I think, for folks. But yeah, our kind of thing very much is like, okay, so you built this character, you start making content with it, you create fame and fandom for that character. Now you can mint versions of that character to grow your audience and build it up. And once you have a community, you can now go and kind of take these into other kind of experience. But this needs to happen in stages,
Sure. Yeah. You teased me a little bit at the beginning with some of the features that you can produce, and I saw several Lucs on the screen at different times.
Let me see. I can do that, right? So I'm just pulling up
some more clothed than others.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're listening and not watching this on YouTube, Luc is going to pull up some avatars, show us some features of, and is this
share the screen anymore now, which is weird.
Are you doing it straight through Riverside?
Actually, I should do just a screen share. I was trying to hijack the camera.
Try that.
Actually, that will work.
That's right. Luc set up a whole array of high-tech cameras and a whole studio in his own space, and we're just going low-tech.
You see that?
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll walk you through that. This is now basically being driven by my my iPhone. You have like lots of opportunities to kind of build different kind of avatars. I'll walk you through the process. yeah, we have like presets. Actually, is that see? Do you see that properly now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I can close this.
I see the character's hair moving around.
Yeah, so it has like hair. You have different kind of hairstyles. I have like a weird kind of skin on here now, but basically, if I'll reset this and
nice.
so you see how the system kind of works.
That's wild.
So this now
it looks like anybody can do this.
Yeah, this is
right. I mean, it's like pick and choose your skins, your clothes, your body type.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Now you can submit your photo, and then it builds one of these sculpts. There's a bunch of default ones as well.
Yeah.
I'll put some skin on it now. So let's just give it a bit of a texture.
Nice. Different.
Then what we did
colors.
is like this basically allows you to mix between different things, right? So I'll take a different head, old man head here, and you can basically see while I'm
talking,
this automatically goes. This automatically is being kind of procedurally re-rigged, and
is that supposed to look like Jeff Bezos?
You can make the celebrities with this.
Oh, really? Nice.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's a possible legal hurdle, so we're kind of not really promoting that.
Okay.
But you can go into any kind of shape. We added pretty much all the NFT projects that we could find. So we have, you can be like a dead fella. So I really like that project. Put a skin on from the dead fellas, for example. Let's see if I can find it here.
That's why
you have something.
So why? Why did you do that? Explain the thought process in importing the NFT collections.
Well, so I mean, I think those communities are very kind of. I think the communities are hungry for this, and they've been, a lot of them have been promised this and didn't get it. So we've just basically done all of them. So if you want to be an ape, you can be your ape. If you want to be a party bear, you can be a party bear, Pepe, whatever you kind of want, And if you want multiple, you can kind of be the in between of it, And if you want to start a new one, you can, make new ones. I mean, we just keep adding all these these different shapes, right? Because this is basically database driven. You can basically add anything, and then you can also have like abstract stuff. But let's say with this, we can now go and say, hey, let's put a different skin on it. Again, this is all these skins can be generated using Stable Diffusion, so you can make insane amount of iterations from this. You have the fantasy ones. You have like weird kind of effects, abstract.
It seems infinite. I mean, you just keep going to more and more variations of the same of the skins and the shapes, and that's amazing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you can make billions of different ones. You have like control over the shapes. You want it to be ripped.
Oh, there you go.
You want to be like skinny. There's all sorts of shapes here. And
now these kind of tools aren't these kind of tools kind of available like for on a more technical level? I mean, this is clearly very easy for me to even use, but I probably would be lost if I tried to use other more complex tools.
I mean that's why we kind of try to prep everything so people don't have to
that's amazing.
But the other kind of thing is like, this is a cool part. So we have a scalable bone system, so you can basically all your proportions can be changed.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So if you want to be this, but my animation can basically, let's say my animation kind of stays kind of working, right? So I still kind of run. Actually, this is not a good example. let's say this one is standing. Let's take some music, for example.
Oh my God! Just the fact that the character
you can do that really
just,
really quickly, and then I can go back to my bones and
he's moving so naturally.
make a larger kind of version, and
Yep.
it's still tracking. It still has the animation. It still has like everything that you want to do. So you can do any kind of shape. If I want to load a shape from an existing project, for example, let's say I want to have like some kind of Disney-esque type of shape, like Woody here, for example.
Yeah.
I can say just load Woody's body, and now it's basically going to have the body and the skin, and it's going to keep the outfit, right? If I want to now change like the outfit or the body to this guy, that's not a problem. If I want to change the outfit from Woody onto this guy, that's not a problem either. That basically automatically now loads and resizes and so on.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's
resizes.
like that.
Yeah.
It's very powerful. It's a very, very powerful system. If you want to do, one of your clones, this is the same thing, right? So if I take like one of these clones here, say I just want the outfit of this, then that works. Now you got a big dude with your clone kind of outfit on. If you want to kind of turn it into whatever you kind of might want, now you have the body, but I can put like a different outfit I can put a Woody outfit on. You know what I mean? So
that's amazing.
that kind of.
So what are you launching this in 2 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
so in 2 months this will be available to the public.
Yeah, exactly.
In what capacity?
Well, hopefully everybody start using it. So far, like we started a YouTube channel 2 weeks ago, and it's getting a lot of traction. So I definitely see that there's a need for this. But yeah, so this is just like a snippet of the character side. You have everything that you can want. I can still. The beauty of the procedural system is I can now go and change his head. If I decided that I wanted to have a Pepe head but keep my clone skin, that's no problem.
Yeah.
You see, it automatically kind of adjusts. You see, if I want to keep a little bit of that, and that's it was very complicated to do. I can even put hair on this now. I can put my Sam Bankman wig on top of this. If I want to turn this into a realistic character again, then I have that guy. Like, let's say we
SBF Pepe Cowboy.
Let's take Vitalik's, facial shape, with his outfit. You can do crazy stuff.
Well, you said a billion characters. It seems like there's probably a billion variations, maybe more.
Yeah.
You
and
really
then the cool part here is like, okay, so now you have this. I'm gonna just have him stand still for a second. Let's do just like a simple kind of idle. So let's say we have this character. I want to do variations of this, and I want to go and this is something we keep for we kind of do with as partnerships, right? But let's say we're going to want to make some different versions of nails from this. I'll say, okay, cool. I want to have this body. I'm going to do a couple of different skins, so you set your, let's say we say like a green one and a orange one and a natural one. So we have 4 different skin types. I set my rarity here. I can say like maybe this one is like 10, and maybe this one is like 30, and this one is like 25. So now when I basically kind of randomize this, it will automatically build these different skins, right? So, and I can export like a 10K collection and render it in a night. But that's a really good kind of way to build your community and to kind of like start giving, because these characters then all these characters will be able to be used in all the applications like Replicant, but also into games that are kind of supporting this. So if you want to add eyes to the mix, and this goes on for forever, right? So let's say I want to have some natural eyes, I want to have some cartoon eyes, I want to have some glowy eyes. Okay. Now we basically start doing that, and you will see that it uses different kind of eyes.
Right.
And you basically build up your thing. So let's say we want to do some clothing.
Any feature.
I now pick some outfits. Let's say we do this one, and like a special one, whatever.
So Luke, where do you think the most extensively used application of this will be? Will it be in entertainment production, gaming, community building?
Yes. So like I mentioned, we're seeing like a huge interest from content creation, but also on the professional level. So making like right now, a lot of shows are canceled. Production budgets are being slashed. We can do things like cheaper and faster.
Sure.
And yeah, that's going to be like a big one. But yeah, so this is just the character part, right? So let's say we now have we're going to add like some superhero girl here. What we then do, I'll show you basically how quickly you can do the content. So this is.
Do you have licensing agreements for the characters?
No, we don't. Like this, like whatever is in here that doesn't have a license will be removed by the time we launch. I've been wanting to stay away from that. I had some NFT communities that we did a lot of work for, and they wanted to go ahead, but it got really kind of difficult, to be honest. It's like this is really made for decentralized content creation. And I really kind of want to stick with that.
And what's your revenue model?
So this will be subscription based. So we have like some, like for example, we have like some of these like NFTs. Most of the NFTs that are actually in here, I own them, and I don't have intention to sell them. But like everything is different enough to not be used. This is a project, for example, very cool project you should check out from a super successful comic book artist. We're launching. We just launched like a day ago or something. These will, for example, not be in the release. This is a charity project we're doing called Polar Bear Parliament. It's about like Yeah, so
saw that on your site. Looks hilarious.
Yeah, so that's actually going to be an NFT project where you can buy. Well, it's actually you make a charitable donation to prevent people from hunting polar bears. Polar bears actually basically they're going extinct, not just because of global warming. They're also being hunted, and people are selling hunting licenses to wealthy hunters, and that's the reason it's going extinct. So we were making a lot of content for this.
Great cause, yeah.
But this will actually launch with an NFT sale or donation sale, and you then contribute. Basically, what's happening is like Inuits. They have the very long-standing deal that they can sell they can hunt polar bears, right? So, but they can sell the licenses. So they're selling these licenses for $1,500. Big kind of hunting operators, they will come, they buy them all up, and then do these like $100,000, $200,000 fully kind of prepped like hunting tours. And what we're trying to say is like, hey, if a bunch of NFT folks can actually buy this IP, then we can prevent these. We can buy basically the licenses and don't hunt them. So we're working with a German filmmaker that's done really cool documentary. He's done a lot of work prior, but He's literally just come from the Arctic, and he has masqueraded as one of these hunters, and then basically documented everything. At the last moment, he says, like, "I want mine to live." So it's a very, very cool kind of project.
Yeah.
And then this is actually also, this is going to be actually a super cool project. I should plug this, and you should, I encourage you to talk to the genius behind this. It's a project we're doing with Brett Leonard, the creator from Lawnmower Man and Virtuosity and so on. We met about a year ago, and it was really interesting. We ended up talking about, when I talk about procedural systems, nobody ever really most people actually don't really know what I'm talking about. And he was like, "Yes, I've been looking for procedural systems. What I want to do is I want to create a movie that never kind of finishes." I was like, "Well, that's actually something I would be very interested in, and let's make that." So so what we're doing with the Dark Star project is going to launch in the next couple of weeks as well. Basically, you buy an NFT. You are part of the creators of it. You get our software with it, and you can submit shots. And basically, these shots that you're making, like everything we do is open, right? So when I load a project, I have basically like everything that we give that all away. So if you want to look at the polar bear stuff, you can basically load this and check it out. So every single project. You can check in on some stuff we've done for fluff. You can modify it, change it, and so on. But so the idea with the Dark Star is that IP kind of grows, and then the movie will have basically strands. So you say like, "Hey, I'm looking at the the July strand of 2023." And you can modify that, change it. It's very cool, and yeah, Brett is the perfect person to be doing it. But yeah, anyway, so it's time to move on to. So you can build your environments here. You can take a long time to make all this stuff, but I'm gonna.
And this is all. These are all. Are there like community assets?
You'll be able to import them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's a little bit complicated now because we need to serialize stuff to run in real time. But that's going to be all. There's going to be a plugin in the marketplace where you can do that with. But that's still a bit time consuming, right? So I'm going to actually now load a background, and then we have different kinds. So you could put a plate in the background. You could put a 360 dome on. You could put a HDRI picture on.
Yeah.
This is very nice. We've integrated that quite well. It's called Blockade, and it's like basically a stable diffusion based API. So I can now say let's go and generate whatever we want, right? So you tell me where you want these two characters to be, and I'll type it in here.
Oh. Right on. So they're at a soccer game in Barcelona.
And then we say we want this to look realistic. And then basically you generate this. What it's now doing at the back end, it sends a command, gets an image served back. And we then unwrap that image, and as you can see here, this is full kind of 360 dome. So if I actually kind of zoom out, you see what that is. That image has now come in. I'm going to say, okay, cool. So we're here. It's done. So it doesn't always do like a great kind of job, but I have a lot of tools in here to kind of adjust it.
Sure.
So we can basically change the size. We can change like the angle and so on.
Oh yeah.
So probably a better kind of thing would have been like a soccer pitch.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me just try this soccer.
Try it.
Field.
Yeah.
You generate it again. And what you then do is like you can extract an HDRI from it that works on the lighting. But a lot of times, for example, if I set this to like autofocus, and I'm on, like you see already, it's like kind of blurred in the background. You get away with it. It's like a 2D image. Especially if you're going to put some stuff in the foreground, and this is where this all comes in. So let's say we have like I don't know, take some stuff here, street furniture. I'll take this random bin here. So drag this bin in. Okay. Now that's okay. So here's another. That's what we were looking for. See.
That's cool.
Now we're on the pitch with a bin.
Gotcha.
Whatever.
You keep it there or move it, right?
Yeah. So you moved it around, so it gives you a little bit of spatial awareness,
perspective, right? For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there's a tree.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, or like a lamppost.
That's pretty realistic looking.
There you go.
Have you or your team, or do you have any plans to actually launch a game yourself?
We're like understaffed to build this, so that's not an option for now. But when we finish this, we definitely want to, because we really built this to be the basis of many things that we.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But you got to really, everything is a lot of work, right?
Of course.
Keep making things better. So
can't do everything all at once.
So the next thing here then is like, we can go play with the lighting. That's a little bit more involved. But I'm going to show you the cool part here. So now we have like, Vitalik with a polar bear. I can now say like, I want to make let's actually name them. Let's call them. And then this is our polar bear. We're calling Bob. So we have Vitalik and Bob. And now I load basically the script writer. And this is really, really good fun. So here we kind of allocate voices. So it says here, Bob and Vitalik describe the ultimate sandwich. This is our kind of brainstorming module.
Yep.
So
I was about to ask you about this. Is this a tie-in with like a AI bot, like a ChatGPT?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the text is generated. So we trained it on like script writing and breakdown, but like all the text is generated. So we can basically here in the settings we can say what model do we want, GPT-3 or GPT-4. GPT-3 is quicker, so I'll take that. Then, so we keep, and I'm very kind of open about that. It's like we only developed AI that basically powers our characters and our worlds and our scripts. So the rest of it is basically Blockade, 11, Google, and OpenAI. OpenAI and Google are super cheap, so we'll have that in the package built, but the other stuff people can just add their API onto it. We have like a plugin system, so whenever something new comes out, we can just add that. So we set it to these voices. Now we're going to give the characters a name or a voice. So Bob is going to be just say Ben Affleck, and actually maybe we have to tell it on here. Let's see. No. All right, then he's Tom Holland. And then this guy is going to be, I got Brock Pierce. Here you go. Let's have Brock Pierce, this one. But yeah, so this is a external voice API.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go to, this is our kind of stuff here. So we're saying, okay, I want to have like a 30-second animation. Bob and Vitalik tried to guess each other's favorite movies. You can also give me a prompt, say what they're doing.
That was a good one.
Okay, favorite movies, but then we give it some soccer-related content that involve football or soccer, actually. Soccer. It's not going to be that many movies, I guess. And then basically you say, like, write new script. And this, for me, is like super handy. Like, I'm not a writer, and I in fact, I hate writing. So I'm always at work, like, but I have ideas. So this works really well for like a basic kind of writing buddy. It's never going to, replace the sentiment, understanding of a real writer. But there's some pretty bad ones too. And
well, it's a good launching point for
it's a good launching point. Yeah. So I now have this script here. You see that we broke that down into several different components. I can move these around. I can modify this at any time. So it's a good one here. I'm pretty sure the favorite soccer movie is Bend It Like Beckham. I forgot about that one. But what we've also done is like we run like sentiment analysis. So it's saying that it's neutral, or it's saying that it's amused, whatever. It's extracting that, right? So it's very neutral, this thing. So we can make this a bit more excited, for example, and Vitalik is joyful. And how this works is basically this is generated from our animation library. So there's a huge library of animations. And as this library grows, this becomes better. So it's like a self-improving system in a way. But anyway, I can go and modify this, delete it, change it. Let's say I haven't even read all of it, but let's say we're good to go. We're happy to do this. What I now do, and this is like the huge time saver, I press send script to new sequence, and basically see what it's doing here. It's literally building everything you see here. It's building that timeline. It's extracting the voices. It's like suggesting like some basic kind of animations that can go with that. And,
movements and mannerisms, is that like built into that?
Yeah, exactly. Eyeline, everything that you kind of want, and it's basically presented us with like a 30-second clip. Now, if I want to go in at any time, I can modify this, but this just saved you like a couple of days of work. If you now want to spend, and that's what we're doing with all the animations that we're posting, right? We do this, and then we spend like a day on fixing it, making it more fun, better. And that's how you kind of get really quick kind of content. And, but I think on YouTube, a lot of people might just be fine with this, or they want to just puppeteer it, because at any moment in time, I can now kind of overrule this. I can record my face with the iPhone. I actually take the iPhone and kind of move around with it and pick different angles. I could go and, like, let's say we have the camera on here, or maybe this establishing camera. You know what? I just want to change the position for this. I want to be like further back. Like I said, actually, let's set a keyframe. Let's set a keyframe is going to zoom in, but we're going to basically be really far out, and the more kind of time you spend on that, the better you can make it. And you see, that's now added. But the cool thing of this procedural system is that at any moment in time, I can go back. So if I want to go back and I decided that I did not like these eyes,
Gotcha. You can change it for the whole scene.
Yeah, you change it for the whole scene, right? So let's say I kind of decided I wanted to have like one of Brett Leonard's characters in here. I literally kind of click it. And it's basically, is it doing the, is it doing the other one? No. What it's basically doing now is rebuilding. And it's still tracking me. That's why. So
I did ask you this before, and I keep on thinking about it myself. And I'm totally blown away by the technology. I wouldn't know where to start with this. And clearly people who are more capable in this area will just, this is like kid in the candy shop, right? What is it, and I asked you before, but I kind of want you to expand on it. What is the blockchain tie-in? So like,
Yeah, it's a good question. So
I think it makes more sense now, like now that I understand what all this is.
yeah. So, okay. So if you see every single thing here, this animation,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you go through every single asset here, blend shape, all like to let's take his kind of like gloves off and put some. Oh, he doesn't have hands. Um, uh, but yeah, if he would have had like hands, like put some fingers on here, take that off. The fingernails specific, for example, right?
Yeah.
That can be an NFT in our system, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm going back to my paint layer now, and I'm going to say, hey, it's red, but maybe it's like some kind of funky artist, and you can only kind of get these here. You see, let me just switch that auto zoom off, auto focus off for a second, so you can see things better. Disable. Like every kind of aspect of this, this could be an NFT, because it's basically, it's like our database is centralized as hell. I'm not going to lie about it. I think it's going to take a very long time until you can do production work in decentralized databases.
Sure.
But it can be token gated, right? So, and then you can do stuff with it, right? So, for example, like a good example is what we did with. Let's see if I can pull that website up here.
So someone could load say an NFT collection onto this and token gate the access to it.
Yeah, exactly. So if we do like
and same thing with anything they produce.
Yeah, it has to be for now. It has to be produced in the system, right? Because it needs to be kind of compatible with everything, right? So for this project, you can mint an NFT here. You then get basically the preset of this character, which is tied to in our system to like a JSON construct code. You have an example of that. So here, for example, is an example of how that looks. This could actually be stored on chain probably, but we don't do that. We just have a lookup with an NFT that basically kind of gives you this. But you then have that character, and you can make content with her or whatever the people kind of want, right? So this was a music video we did recently. She's basically token gating her community. You have the live concepts, you have the collectibles, airdrops, whatever, right? But and here you see some of the exampons of
I don't think your screen is changing, Luke. Or you're sharing a different tab.
Oh, I'm sharing the wrong tab.
Yeah, I'm seeing like a cyborg on a soccer field.
Okay, wait. Presentation, share screen, entire screen.
And for any viewers who, if it appears that I'm getting darker, it's because my lights are not on and it's getting darker.
Yeah. So here, for example,
we're gonna go with it.
So this was a music video we did recently. You can check it on YouTube. But these are basically NFT characters. But if you were to push this in terms of geometry and like these are like 2 gigabyte files, you don't want to be pushing. Right. So what we push is basically the character data that constructs these files. So for example, if we're this is how one of our avatar files will look like. It's a bunch of code that basically constructs it. But this means that I can have, I can basically kind of make this compatible with whatever kind of project it is, right? So, people can basically build their projects and their content using our solution, and then like every aspect of it is done in Replicant. So every graphic, every picture, every render. Full music video and so on. So that's the cool kind of blockchain based part.
Yeah. amazing. It's amazing. And this whole creation is amazing. You've been working on this for 5 years, but you've been working on it your whole life, really.
Yeah,
And kudos, man. I mean,
yeah. I must say, it's like, I kind of started in 2017 myself and a couple of guys, and it wasn't until like my head of product and lead developers kind of came on till this actually got like built, because what we're building is a really complicated game, and I have made prototypes before, basically, so I made something first in Unity, then we kind of moved to Unreal, which gets like way more kind of complicated, a lot of learning to do. Then we kind of built that out, and then we kind of scaled up the developer team. Then you get to like a prototype or you get to like a product where everything is kind of in blueprints, and you get more developers. And now it's like 95% C++, and that's why it works like really quickly. It works fast. It's like it's insanely fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely like a massive team effort.
Amazing.
But yeah, no, it's been pretty exhausting.
I'm sure. And of course you're like in the home stretch, so I'm sure you're pushing pretty hard right now. Just one more question. I usually ask people like what their dream project would be, and this is it. I mean, this is your dream. I could obviously, it's pretty obvious. But like, where's it going to go? Where do you see it in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, we're just going to keep developing this. Like my whole team, where they're all kind of shareholders, invested, and maybe at one point we want to pivot to doing some games with all this stuff.
Yeah,
but I mean, like this is supposed to be the last project. It's like,
yeah, for sure. And it seems like you have a lot of work ahead of you. I mean, the development is, at least the initial development is almost done. Now it's having clients and customers and go to market. Like that's the next stage, and it's a whole nother focus, I imagine, for the next few years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to have to do customer support and all those type of things. Right now, we're making tutorials on how to use it. And
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
So that's. I mean, actually, I forgot one last plug. Then YouTube channel.
Well, I mean, the learning curve for someone like myself, I think it would be pretty steep. But obviously, for people with experience,
honestly, it's like if that's the takeaway, after you spend like an hour with it, we have not done our job. We really nice. Like It might kind of the UI might seem a little bit kind of daring. So
no, I mean it seems pretty obvious to me and very usable. I've just never done anything quite like it.
Yeah, but you'll be able to do it. So yeah, we have.
Awesome. Can't wait to try it out.
We're putting it. Do you see the YouTube?
Yeah.
I'm just really excited. We have a YouTube channel. I'm like a boomer when it comes to social media. So
congratulations, you have your first YouTube channel.
We put all the stuff on here, and try to get like people to understand it. We do our process very kind of openly in terms of sharing knowledge. That's why we check in the projects. You can basically kind of backtrack from what we have done as an example.
Sure.
And so basically kind of making it in a way how I wish I would have been able to learn other software.
Right on.
Yeah, but despite that, there's a lot of work to be done. But
awesome.
We're committed.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for showing me this, man. I mean, this is awesome, and congratulations on everything you've done so far, and good luck going forward.
Yeah, thank you.
Exciting times, man.
For chatting, and let me know. Like, I'll set you up with a key. You can download it from Steam, and have a play with it. Maybe even do awesome. Like an avatar podcast.
All right, I'll blow away all my friends and family. They'll be like, "How did you learn how to do this shit?" Where can people find DNABlock, and where can they find you?
Hang on, let me take a look. Sorry,
the product is called Replicant, right?
Replicant, yeah. So
with a K.
The Twitter is called. Hang on one second.
We'll put this in our show notes.
Twitter is called. Twitter is just called DNABlock, and my personal Twitter is Schurginator, which is like my last name, but with a bit of Terminator, I guess.
Appropriate.
Yeah, and then our website is also DNABlock.ai.
Nice. Do you have a wait list for users?
We do, and that should be on. Like that's on the website, so you can just click on that.
Great.
We're kind of ramping that up, So yeah, probably like every 2 weeks we get a bunch of Steam keys, and we add people to it.
Awesome. That's a reason for me to tell people to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, check it out. Luc Schurgers, thank you. Please follow Bankless Consulting on Twitter at Bankless Consult, and check out our newsletter, banklessconsulting.substack.com, and of course, banklessconsulting.com. And thanks for checking this out. And Luc, thanks again, man. This was awesome. Best of luck, and we'll be talking again soon.
Yeah, love to. All right, speak to you later.